Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Culturama,
where we're bringing the culture and the drama with Chance and Mizzy.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Mizzy, and we're back with another episode. And today, we are getting into the worst hood of them all.
I don't know. And
I know
the hood you grew up in?
I'm hood adjacent. I didn't grow up in a hood. But what I will say is the worst hood, babes. Adulthood. So, today we're going to be talking about...
0 out of 10. Would not recommend.
Talking about adulthood and our transition into that. But Shans, let's first just tap in with each other. How you been, girl?
I've been. Nah, life is just life, working.
Yeah. You've been busy.
You've been busy.
Oh, I have been very busy.
You've been booked.
I've been very busy. And I feel like you can always tell when I'm busy because I'll be like, I gotta get this done. So I just isolate. But yeah, we've both been busy, but I feel like that's good because that means we've been braided up.
Mm-hmm. And coming off that homecoming, how was your homecoming?
I had a fabulous homecoming. Shout out to the illustrious Xavier University of Louisiana. Don't forget the of Louisiana. I had a fabulous homecoming. I would rate it maybe 8 out of 10.
Okay.
What would you? How was
my
yours?
homecoming 7 out of 10. Only because I felt like
the rain.
Well, the rain was a part of it, but I also didn't go out as much as I thought I would.
Okay. Yeah. You tapped out. I went out. After that, I had a good time.
Hey, and I feel like you also went to another event. Like you went out another day that I stayed at home too. So.
But I also feel like too that Saturday you did work before.
I did. I was working that morning, so it was a little different.
So you had a longer day than I had. I kind of slept in and
which is perfect because that's adulthood where you gotta go to work first and then party later.
Yeah, so just switching gears, we're going to go ahead and talk about the unrealistic timeline of adulthood and what that looked like. So, when you was growing up, what was your timeline on life if you had one?
To be honest, I think I was kind of one of the friends who didn't have, a timeline.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of my friends was by 25, I want to be married.
Yeah.
By 30, I want to have this family.
Yeah.
By 35, this, that. And I never really quite had that. I just knew that at going into my 20s, I want to be in a good space.
Mm-hmm.
In my 30s, I want to be in a better space. In my 40s, I better be better than that. And just, kind of rolling with the punches with life giving me. Of course,
was there a reason or that was just your vibe?
That's just kind of my vibe. I just kind of feel like life changes, so fast. So I didn't want to put myself into a box to where I'm super attached to these things and then they don't work out. Because the reality is that's what happened. When prime example, one of the expectations that I had was going to Tuskegee University. Shout out to them as well. That's where I thought I was going to go. For me, the unrealistic expectations that I had as a child versus when I reached adulthood more so has to do with the level of freedom that I thought I was going to have. Okay. I felt like, in a way, I do have freedom because I do have a lot of autonomy to, choose how I navigate life. But at the end of the day, there are still certain expectations that I have and responsibilities that I have that, as a child, you just don't have,
Yeah. For me, I definitely had a timeline. And my timeline was, by 25, I just knew I was going to find the love of my life. If you're out there, stop playing. Come get me, please.
It's ghetto out here. It's the worst hood.
Please come get me. I'm sick of it. No, I felt like I was going to be married by 25, and I felt as though I was going to... I felt like I was going to be married by 25, and I was going to start having kids by 30. And so here I am. at the ripe age of 27. And yeah, and I think like, to me, I wasn't necessarily so married and like committed to that timeline, but I've seen people that are, and I think for me it's like, oh, okay, cool, like, you know. But I also feel as though college kind of adjusted my view on that timeline, because once you get in college, that's kind of like the adult limbo area, because you like kind of an adult, but then you kind of not.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, a lot of people do end up having to be full-time adults because they don't have that familiar support at home. And that was kind of my reality. So I didn't really like, and also because I was in a relationship in college, that also kind of was like, okay, cool. And then after that ended and I went into the real world, it was kind of like, okay, I want to relax on dating and find myself and find my career. So I think that also shaped how I view the timeline and stuff, you know?
I think also for me, because, and I feel like a lot of people can relate with this as well, we go to school for such a huge majority of our lives that once we leave the school system, we think that we have a lot of time for stuff, and we don't. You don't. Yeah. And I think also what was interesting about adulthood for me, and to be honest, I still ain't quite got there yet.
Yeah.
Which we come from, once again, school, which is a structure. You know what time you got to be there. This is going to occupy most of your day. It sets a schedule for you. You can, you know, find your interests and your hobbies to graduating, to becoming an adult, and you don't have any of that anymore. You don't have a schedule. You pretty much have autonomy to do this, do that. But in doing so, it's also like finding yourself. You have to find what works for you. You have to find where you fit in, find your community again, because you're not placed in an environment where that's just there for you.
Yeah, and I think too, because like, you know, we put so much like pressure on those different ages to where we think an age is more serious than it actually is. But the reality is, when you go to college, you're like 17, 18, and you're not getting out that motherfucker till you 22.
Yeah.
I got out when I was 21. So it's like, you know, by that time, based off of my timeline, I had 4 years to nail down a husband.
Yeah.
And the reality is, when you like in adulthood, for real, it's hard to find people. It's hard to meet people.
It is.
People don't talk about that a lot. Like, the way we used to, like, I think it's naive, but the way we used to put this serious attitude on certain ages, like, oh, at 25, you really gonna be, no, 25, you still feel like an 18-year-old. I promise you.
As a 25-year-old myself, that's how I feel. Like, you know, I just feel that there is more to life that I still have to learn.
Right.
Not only about myself, but about what I want to be, what I aspire to be. I mean, I have so much more learning and growing to do. I just think that as children, we have unrealistic life expectations, and one of the things that we don't account for in that is just the everyday unforeseen life events that happen, whether that's losing your job, a death in your family, you having to pick up, move across country. Like, these are all different life-changing, life-altering things that a lot of times we're not planning for that. Like, you're not planning for the death of your loved one. You're not planning to lose your job. You don't plan for the unforeseen in a lot of these different things. So I think that's also a part of adulthood, is planning for that unforeseen, which is what we've started to get accustomed to.
And that blowback of it too, because it's really like, when those things happen, it take a little minute for you to recuperate and figure out, okay, what's my next move? What's my next play type? And also, I think it's funny because, like, when you ask a child, like, or when I ask my nieces and nephews, like, oh, well, how old do you think I am? They be like, oh, 45. And that really speaks to the naiveness of children and how they see age, because they see age in a skewed view. And when you even in high school, you look at age in a very skewed lens. and you really try and like make sense of life in a way. But at the same time, you really have no idea. Like even in college, getting out of college, you literally have no idea what adulthood is like and all the variations that come with it, because it's so much to life that you just don't have figured out. And also like people be so hard on themselves in terms of like, what do I want to do? What is my purpose? And like, if you're not a person that found your purpose early, you feel like you behind and all that shit. And it's like, you not behind. Like, it's niggas that literally just found their motherfucking purpose at fucking 40.
True.
I'm not fucking playing. And on top of that, Oprah.
I think Issa Rae is a great example of that too.
Issa Rae is a perfect example because she was in her 30s. And you know how many people probably looked at her like, bitch, you childish as fuck for doing a TV show on YouTube.
Yeah.
And because of that YouTube channel that she had, HBO reached out to her directly.
Sure did. Now she's a
millionaire. Pharrell was watching her shit. 2 Chainz.
He's another one who got his start late.
2 Chainz is another one, and went to college, was a straight A student. Stop playing. Like, you don't have to have this straight and narrow. Life is not linear. It's a lot of loop-de-loops, swiggles, all that type of shit in life. And I think when we let go of this idea of perfection, this idea that we have to have it all put together, you realize, okay, now that's when my life begins.
Right.
And even going into this transition of adulthood.
Well, I was just going to say, too, I'm forever, at least right now, a 25-year-old child. So.
Oh, my age stopped when I turned 25, y'all.
Yeah.
You will not know my true age from this point on. And you will be confused. And I feel like everybody should be in a state of confusion.
All I'm going to say is, I'm going to keep getting older, but I'm going to always keep my young essence and spirit. So don't be surprised if I'm saying I'm just a 65-year-old girl.
We're going to keep aging, but just like one, we're going to keep getting fine.
I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like in the Black community, we need more support with that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I look at a lot of counterparts, i.e. just white people, maybe even other cultures, I don't really know for real, but like they're allowed to live with their parents till they are grown, established, they're in a good place in their career, they saved enough money to where they can go get a house. Yeah. But I think with Black people, we've been conditioned to be like, okay, you 18, you graduated high school, boom, you need to get up out of here. And it's like, once again, we've just established that at 18, you're not, even though you're legally an adult, you still don't have the actual lived life experience. Shit, a lot of people ain't even paid no bills yet. They don't know what that looks like. And so I think
taxes by themselves.
Ooh, that's real adulthood.
The IRS is chasing me. You'll never catch me. You'll never find.
She's a truck star.
She got it.
Yeah, she's a runner. She's a track star.
Nah,
yeah.
I'm not paying.
But I think that it's just so much more to transitioning to adulthood that I feel as we as Black people need more help with.
Yeah, support.
Like, just understanding how it is to be a functioning adult in this American society is what I feel like is missing for a lot of us, because we feel like once we get a job, once you graduate from high school, boom, you're an adult now. But the reality is, you're still a child. You still don't really have the answers to everything. You still really are trying to figure out life, build a emotional and mental maturity. I mean, they say we don't even our brains aren't fully developed till we're 25. That's so how is it at 18?
I'm supposed to have it all figured out. Yeah.
I'm prepared to just navigate and live life on my own. It's just very unrealistic.
Yeah, and I would say too, like, speaking from my personal experience, like, I grew up with a mom that would say, like, at 18, sayonara, you getting out of here. You getting the fuck up out of my house. And so that was something that really, like, put the pressure on me to figure out my life. Luckily, you know, college was the route that I went to because of the way that I grew up, I knew like, okay, I don't want to ever be in this type of situation. Yeah. Like I want to be better than the situation I was brought in with. Yeah. So, that transition into adulthood is difficult, especially when it comes to your family. Yeah. Because it's hard sometimes for certain family members to see you as an adult. Agreed. And like that was something like with my siblings, like I got all sisters and I was the baby until I was like in 6th grade. And that's when my little sister came around. But until I was in 6th grade, I was the baby. I wouldn't say that I was spoiled, but I feel like my siblings would. But when I became an adult, it was kind of like that attitude, oh yeah, you still little sis, like, and they would try and little bro me. And to the point where it was like, I low-key had to stand up for myself and be like, nah, like, I'm really in this. Like, because my mama was really adamant on teaching us, like, you know, you got to have your own. You came in this world by yourself and you're going to leave by yourself, essentially. Yeah. So you need to have something to, like, you know, make sure you're good. So for me, I had to stand up for myself with my siblings. I even had to stand up for myself with my mom. And that came with therapy because I realized a lot of the emotional scars that I had came from my childhood. And, like, I'm not even finna get into it too much. Stories for another day. Yeah, but I really had to like check my mama, and I think it was like her realization, like she really an adult, and she started making like executive decisions and changes to foster my adulthood, and like she stopped calling me my childhood nickname, even though the rest of my family called me my childhood nickname and I don't really care. But my mom was like, you know, I made a point to call you Mazani because I know you're an adult now and I don't want to call you your nickname. Like my childhood nickname is kind of embarrassing. But what is it? Yeah, put it out there. Put it on the floor. I don't want people to call me that because I know what it is. That's really reserved for like my grandma and my siblings for real. Like if you call me that, like I know you really like them, but yeah. So I think I won't tell y'all what it is. I won't tell y'all what it is. I think it is something that like your family has to adjust to. And my perspective is a little different, of course, because, you know, I'm the oldest. I have 2 younger siblings, so it was kind of the anticipation of me transitioning into adulthood a lot sooner. But I don't know, I feel like I've always kind of had more of a mature aura. Yeah, I would say you're very mature, though. Like, I feel like you have some things that, like, okay, yeah, it's synonymous to your age, but I don't think it's enough to be like, oh, she's childish, you know? Most of the time, I get that I'm a lot older than what I am. Yeah. So, like, a lot of people wouldn't guess off the bat that I'm 25 if they just go. Do you think it's because of the way you carry yourself, though? Yes, but I also think it has a lot to do with childhood and then my transition to adulthood because I feel like for me, my mom was definitely a big support system in my transition to adulthood. But at the end of the day, I guess the best way to put it would be like, I don't know if I needed a lot of assistance with my transition, if that makes sense. Like, I just felt like a lot of the things I had to do as a child was already more responsibility than what a child should have had. Yeah. So I kind of carried a lot of that into my transition to adulthood. And I would say you do have a very maternal spirit, and I think that comes from you being the oldest. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just try to make sure everybody around me is good. Like, you know, I think that was, once again, something that was instilled in me in my childhood. Yeah. Like, I had to make sure everybody was good. You know, my mom worked night shifts, so I had to make sure she was straight, make sure she had what she needed for work, stuff like that. Then when she was at work, make sure me and my sisters was good. Right. Make sure we went to school in the morning, just all these different things. So I just think that what I will say for me personally, I do feel like it wasn't hard for my family to see that transition from me to childhood to adulthood. I think that if anything, for me, it was the hardest thing to understand because honestly, I think that you was the person who gave me this advice when
stories for another day. But no, you just kind of gave me one of the biggest wake-up calls that I needed going into my adulthood is like, whether you're cognizant, whether it's a mistake, whether you meant to do it, whether you did it, at the end of the day, you are an adult now. So any decision, any action that you make is going to have consequences and it's going to weigh on your life. And I think that's something that we don't often think about going into an adulthood, that whether or not you think it's a good idea, whether or not it was a mistake, who cares? You're an adult now, so you have to reap the consequences of what you sowed. And I think that for me, that was the biggest wake-up call.
At the end of the day, like, they do not care.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care that you made a mistake. They don't care that you had an off night.
Yeah.
They don't care what you do for a living.
Yeah, one wrong move, one bad drunk night, anything could cost you the rest of your life.
And especially for Black people, especially for Black women, like, they don't give you grace. And I think that in me telling you that,
even our Black children don't really get as much grace.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that once again, for me, that was just like a huge wake-up call, is that we are now in a position or in our lifetime where, once again, anything, whether you think it's right, whether you think it's wrong, it can cost you. You're going to pay for any decision that you make. So
yeah, taking it a step further, like, that shit really do cost you. Like, you get caught up with some ganja, it's a fine for that. You get,
depending on where you at, you going to jail.
You speeding, you getting fined for that. So, like, that's when you start to really wake up. People, you getting caught up for that. Like, so when you become an adult, you do have to be more cognizant in your decision making, but also, like, that balance of like friends, family, and your career is one thing that really kind of rattled me as an adult, that I realized, like, I struggle with personally, because I have very tunnel vision, and I realized that through my mom, because she's a Pisces, and I think all water signs are very sensitive, but she was really like, you never call, you never, but it's not that I don't call because I don't care. It's really because I be so tunnel vision with what's in front of me right now, what I got going on, that sometimes I don't be like, oh, did you need this? Or, oh, did you need me to call you and stuff like that? And I think sometimes people take offense to that, but, like, my friends give me a lot of grace, and I'm appreciative of that, because I don't mean it in a malice way. It don't be my first thought. Not to say that I don't care about it, because I do.
Right.
It just, I just have very, like, tunnel vision. I get that from my dad. Like,
but I think that goes into adulthood. Is learning how to balance these elements of friendships, relationship, career, hobby. Like, once again, going back to just the example of school, that's kind of the harbor for you to do these things all in one place. But now that you're an adult and you don't have this one solid thing that you could depend on for all of those interactions or those connections, you now have to make time and you have to make space for that. Like, I mean, I'm cool with my coworkers, but my friends, my coworkers are two different things,
Right.
My career versus my hobbies are two different things, but I feel like you should be able to create space for all of that. And that's a part of going into adulthood, is balancing all of these things that you love, making space for all of these things that you love, and just figuring out how to maintain all of them in a healthy way.
I sometimes I don't talk to my friends every day. I don't talk to my family every day. But it also comes with, like, my social meter too. But finding that balance is very important. Like, sometimes I find myself, like, setting reminders in my calendar to call my mom, or, like, stuff like that, just because I know if I don't put it there, I'm going to completely exile it from my brain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it is... I think a big part of adulting is learning your traits and also figuring out the workaround of that, because I do have tunnel vision. I am very forgetful at times, but how do I resolve that forgetfulness? Writing things down, setting reminders, and putting things in my calendar. You know what I'm saying? Figuring out that way so that you can sort of transition into the remedy instead of inflating the problem.
But I also think that an element to that we're missing is in adulthood, there are certain things that you have to let go of to walk into that
new person,
to that new stage in your life, just into that new chapter. And I think that this is something that we talked about on our first episode, is that you can't hold people to the expectation to what they used to be. What they used to be, because as we become adults, we grow, we mature, we have different life experiences that changes us. And I just don't think it's completely fair to hold that person to the same standard. But at the end of the day, you as a person going into your adulthood also have to be comfortable letting things go that you maybe used to like, maybe how you used to act, how you used to think. You have to be okay with being able to change that. And I mean, once again, life changes you, things happen, unforeseen. That's true. You just gotta learn how to let certain things go.
You gotta be adaptable in adulthood, like for real, adaptable. Like touching on that point you made about, you don't necessarily, you can't really hold people to the standard of what they used to be. Like I had to really like let go of the expectations I had of my mom, the expectations I had of some of my friends, the expectations I had of my siblings, because of the simple fact, like, they growing and learning. Like, I would ask my mom, like, did you listen to this person when you was growing up? You know what I'm saying? What did you do for fun growing up? And I started to learn who she was as a person and not as a mother. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that until it's way too late. But, like, I really looked at my parents as, like, superheroes. Like, as a kid, I remember when we was living here, we had this huge water fight. And, like, it literally started with my mom throwing water on my dad, and then he threw it back on her, and then it got so bad to the point.
So cute.
No, it got so bad to the point we filling up pots and, like, throwing it on each other.
Y'all was in the house?
We was in the house, we ran out the house, and then the whole neighborhood. I stayed in a cul-de-sac here. So, like, that's why, like, I really cherish those memories when I lived here, because a very, like, fun time. But I could remember a lot of memories like that with my parents, because they were very big on, like, creating memories and creating experiences for us and with us, So I think, learning how to let go of your ego, learning how to let go of those expectations you have of people, and just being a student of life, being adaptable, just figuring out, like, okay, I don't have it all figured out. And especially coming from a setting like a HBCU, you come from the top of the mountain. Like, HBCU's big, your confidence up, like, you could fight a fucking grizzly bear. And when you get out of it, you like, and you see the real world, and you like, damn, I really gotta adjust to
it. Does. It does give you a false sense of comfortability. See, I think I had to let go a lot of the anger that I have, and I think that's still something that I'm working on actively. But I will say that when I was a child, definitely growing up, okay, if something pissed me off, if I get in trouble, whatever, that lasts all day. You get what I'm saying? Like, it just all day. And then it got to a certain point when I was in school, definitely in high school, where I was like, the only reason why I'm mad all day is because I'm making myself mad all day. You get what I'm saying? Like,
that's definitely a choice.
I choose whether or not something bothers me. I choose whether or not I'm going to allow this thing to dictate my whole day, dictate my whole mood. So for me, that was something that I felt like I had to let go of. It's just like, because you have a minor inconvenience, or because something doesn't go your way, or because something does hurt you, it doesn't have to define you. Yeah. So just letting that go and just learning how to just roll with the punches. And I feel like I also had to let go of just certain attachments to people as well. Yeah. Like, just letting you grow. Like, everybody, what's the saying they like to say is, everybody's not in your life for a season. Some people are in your life for a season, and some people are for a reason. Yeah.
And
I think
some people
everybody's
could be for
reason.
both, though. Like,
Yeah.
some people could be in your life for a reason and a season.
Yeah, but I think that was something else that I had to let go of too, because
Yeah.
I think that was something else that I've already expressed as well. Like when I look at my friendships, I look at them as family. Like that's something that I hold on to a lot. So I feel like I did at one point in time have these like attachments to people to where it's like, you know, I'm trying to hold on to this, but at the end of the day, what's done is done. You know, we ran our course in a lot of these instances, and it's just being okay with that and just moving forward from that. So I think that, you know, that's also part of adulthood, like you said, being adaptable. I think that's the best way I can sum up how to navigate this worst hood.
And I would say, too, like, you have to be careful with your attachments to people, because people will manipulate that attachment that you have. And people will use that, well, I've been knowing you since, you just gonna throw it all away because, and it's like, I care about my peace more than I care about a friendship. And if this is bringing me more stress, more heartache, then I gotta let go of it, because I respect my peace and I respect my mental health more than I respect you. And if you can't see that right now, I know later in life you will see that. And you will see that I didn't mean any malice by that. So I think that is very crucial to being an adult, because when you start to, meet more people, you start to realize a lot of people is fucked up. A lot of people got a lot of delusions about them where they feel like, I'm a good person. And it's like, yeah, you might be to the core a good person, but you also might have some fucked up tendencies about you that you haven't held yourself accountable for. And that's the real tea. Like, for me, if my friend brings something to me and they say, hey, I ain't like the way you did that, I might be a little defensive, but I hear you. Yeah. And I'm going to self-reflect on that. A lot of people don't self-reflect, like, what did I do in the situation?
Can we also get rid of age defines maturity? Let's get rid of that, okay? Because it's a lot of...
They're going to be mad at your friend. They're going to be mad.
I'll be mad, okay?
They like the tussle.
And that's all right, because I tussle right back.
She do.
This is what the big example that I think about that is how we have these men that's 30, 40, 50 years old that's still living a young man lifestyle. Like, you look at these men, they don't have no families. They still outside in these streets, in the club, popping bottles.
From the representative of the late 20s crew, they just as bad as the people my age.
Can I also just say the 20s is so weird, because it's so weird. It's so weird because you have people that are still living with their parents, still trying to just figure out life. Look, just be patient. Your 20-somethings is weird.
The 20-somethings is very weird. Don't put too much pressure on it. I was going to say, too, another thing that you pointed out about your anger is I used to be like that. Like, I used to be, like, so, like, temperamental to, like, as a kid, to where I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I feel like I had a really bad habit of throwing tantrums. But what I will say is my grandma told me something, and she would be so hard up. I had a granny from New Jersey, so she was like really like stern about this shit. But she would say like, you don't need to allow people to control your day. You letting motherfuckers that didn't give a shit about, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you got going on for the day, control how you see the whole entire day. You let somebody piss you off for the whole entire day, when whole time they going about their day, not thinking about you. Yeah. And also, you allowing them to control you for that entire day. And it's like, she was like, don't give nobody that much power over you. And it's like...
I just feel like for me, I realized I was making things a lot harder than what it is.
Yeah, it's a choice.
It's a lot of energy that goes into just holding on to that level of anger. Now, I get sometimes when it's warranted and when you just don't have control over it, but a lot of times we do. Like, a lot of times you be going about your day and then something reminds you of some bullshit and then you all in that space all over again. You could be reminded of something and be like, you know what? I'm not even going to let it get to me
just
right now.
redirect your thoughts and also, like, redirect your temperament. Y'all want to be committed to these niggas? Be committed to your happiness, bro.
Facts.
Like, that's what you should really be committed to. That's inner peace.
Look,
that's tea.
I'm going to keep saying it. Y'all going to hear it 1,000 more times from me, but conversations for another day, for sure.
Literally.
I think that one of the other things that we need to talk about, because adulthood isn't all bad, right? Like, we got some worse parts to it, but there's some good parts to adulthood.
It's some good parts to adult.
So what do you feel like are some of the best and the worst things about adulthood?
I think the good part is that you don't have to answer to nobody. One of the best parts is that you don't have to answer to nobody, and the fact that, like, you know, when you was young, you had to be like, well, where you going? Who you with? Da-da-da. You don't got to deal with that as an adult. Also, I would say another best part is having your own, like, your own things, like having your own space, having your own car, having your own, all that stuff. All that stuff is the best part about being an adult, because you can leave whenever you want to. You can, you know, self-isolate if you want to. All of that stuff is important, and I feel like that's the best part of adulting, because a lot of times when you in your family house, you can't really, like, fuck this shit.
It's not your house.
Yeah,
it's not your house. That's just all I'm gonna say. It's not your house.
Yeah, you gotta respect your mama house for sure.
It's not your house. Yeah. I'm gonna start with one of the worst things.
What'd you say? Oh, you going worse? Okay.
I'm gonna do worse than best.
Okay.
Clearly, one of the most obvious things that's the worst thing about adulthood is bills. Okay.
I was literally gonna say that. Bills.
Hey,
bills.
If you an adult and your mommy or your daddy take care of your bills,
thank them 3 times over.
You better love them to death, okay? Because I don't fault my peoples for not being able to take care of my bills, but
we inherited work ethic and not generational what? I didn't inherit generational wealth. I inherited a work
generational
ethic.
Trauma.
And trauma. And childhood trauma in this motherfucker.
Inherited generational trauma. Inherited not generational wealth, but generational trauma. No,
we breaking the chains.
But bills, I feel like that's one of the worst things about adulthood, is because I'm not gonna lie. I don't. The thing with me is I like working. I love to work.
Yeah,
I think the thing that's hard for me is wrestling the fact that I have to work for survival. Like, if I just worked just because I wanted to, just because it was fun, then it'd be a different thing. But having to work for your survival, just putting yourself in positions where, I just got to get some money so I can make it to the next day. I feel like that's just how a lot of people operate. Now, I think that we're very blessed because we found something that not only we like to do, but we love to do, and it also keeps our bills paid. So that's the trade-off. That's all I would say for that is, as an adult, you got to pay bills, but if you find something that you love to do, then it ain't work for real.
Having to, like, be on top of things, like, it's a lot of stuff, like, with your car, with your, you know.
I think that goes, it's a lot of responsibility,
Yeah, but it's a lot of, like, verbiage and, like, language that you gotta weed through and figure out as an adult, that a lot of people don't tell you about that shit for real. Like, it's like, oh, I gotta actually read the shit that come in the mail. I'm not even.
Oh, this shit might be important.
This shit
is important.
Might be fucking important and might end up in my fucking assets being seized. Like, if I don't read the shit, if I don't check the emails, you know what I'm saying? So, like, pay attention, stay up.
No, you definitely got, I think, I think you just hit the nail on the head with that. One of the best and worst things about adulthood is that we have to be aware. Yeah. In childhood, we lack a certain awareness, if you have the luxury, because I don't want to place that on everybody's childhood, but if you have, it is a certain luxury that comes with the lack of awareness.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that once you reach that stage of adulthood, when you have to be aware of all of these moving parts, moving factors, you damn near at peak. You at peak adulthood.
Yeah, and I would say too, I don't know, I feel like for me in my adulthood, I really appreciate silence. And that's probably the best.
Even though she yells all the time.
I do, but like, if you know my family, like you think I'm loud, you have no idea what my mom sounds like.
One of the things that I really want us to get into, and we're going to talk a little bit about pop culture too, and what we seeing now in the media, but one of the things I really want to make clear is how I feel like motherhood gives a false sense of adulthood to young women.
I totally agree, because just because you're a mom, just because you pushed out a baby, does not mean that you have the same maturity level as somebody that did not. That has a lot to do with your vagina and not your mind. And I want y'all to hear that clearly. You pushed out something from your vagina and not your mind. And the reality is, a lot of y'all think because you had a kid, yes, that does increase your responsibility, but a lot of y'all have immature ways when it comes to how y'all approach certain things, how y'all approach y'all family, how y'all approach y'all friendships, how you approach your career.
Yeah.
Motherhood does not make you way more mature than you think you do.
Facts.
But I think a lot of y'all misconstrue that, because a lot of people associate that with maturity.
Facts.
And you know, when you're around people that have kids, they're like, oh, well, I got a kid, I can't, oh, well, I got a kid. Bitch, but you be in the club every week. Bitch, but you be in a nigga face every week.
But you still live with your mama.
But you still living with your mama.
But you ain't got no car.
But you ain't got no motherfucking car.
Is them babies on health insurance, or is they on Medicaid?
Is they on WIC? Do you have food stamps, bitch?
Look, and which
I ain't shading
I'm
nobody.
knocking young mothers for using different resources, but once again, I think that is a great point. Like, just because you have, become a mother, it does not mean that you are an adult. And I think that our young girlies, Sky Jackson, Halle Bailey, who else?
Mana Leo.
All of these beautiful
Millie
young
now.
girls that's
Callie.
all of these young, beautiful, successful women who are in a great spot in their careers, I think that that's also providing this false sense of security in adulthood. And now, we don't know any of these people personally, of course, but I think prime example, Sky Jackson, a beautiful young Disney star. I mean, we grew up with her, watching her on the screen, and to now see her in this position where, first of all, she having a baby by a Cincinnati nigga. Ooh, that should tell you everything you need to know.
I'm not familiar with the Cincinnati niggas.
And I love my
I
daddy.
trust your judgment.
He's a Cincinnati nigga too, but
I trust your judgment.
they got some work to do, okay? They got some real work to do. And I just think that the reality is, we are seeing a lot of our young celebrities who are in really decent spots in their careers before they're even getting married. They're fucking having babies. And that's once again because I feel like this creates a false sense of adulthood. Like,
and I think a lot of them do it because of the money, because they feel like, oh, I got the means to take care of a baby, so, and I want to start a family, I want to do that. If you want to start a family, get married.
Yeah.
That's your family right there.
Right.
But also at the same time, it's like, I think they're trying to combat this notion that we've had to face a lot of the times is, oh, you young, you don't understand. Oh, you young, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, yeah, bitch, I'm young, but I'm paying the same taxes as you. Yeah, I'm young, but I'm in the same situation as you. I'm in the same room as you. Stop playing with me. Like, and I think that by having a child, that kind of give you a leg up. I'm not pushing out a baby to validate my adulthood to nobody.
Yeah, but I feel like you see what you just said. Everything that you said is rooted in I have something to prove.
Yeah.
I have something to prove. And I think that that's what we need to change our thinking on. I want to have a baby because I want to expand my family.
Yeah.
I'm in a mature space emotionally and mentally to be able to give another person, another human being, the love and the care to grow and be a successful, contributing member of society. A lot of people don't think about it like that.
That's true.
A lot of people have babies because I didn't have that love. Or I wanna make sure that I give this person a childhood that I never had. And two things can be true at once. But just because you're financially in a space to have a baby doesn't mean that mentally and emotionally you're in a space to have a baby. And once again, another thing that we need to keep in mind too is once you actually become a mother, all of that changes. Now, this is coming from two women who don't have any babies, right?
Yeah.
But we understand the severity and the weight that it is to become a mother. And once again, I'm just a 25-year-old girl.
Yeah, so I think, when it comes to the pop girlies and the rap girlies having these kids and stuff like that, it really is... It's unfortunate because of the simple fact, like, you should be able to explore your adulthood before you have a kid. You should be able to... I'm not judging a situation. That's probably really what they wanted to do. But the reality is a lot of y'all don't have the mental strength to go through something as tumultuous as childbirth. Mm-hmm. A lot of y'all hoes not happy for real. Y'all pretend to be happy. Y'all pretend to have it all together and stuff. And then deep down, y'all really just want love, unconditional love, and a child is going to give you that. But that's not the child's... Yeah, but that's not the child's responsibility to be responsible for your happiness. I feel like, personally, for me, my parents was happy when they had me. So I had a happy upbringing. Like, a lot of my childhood was spent with laughter and, experiences traveling with my family and stuff like that I think a lot of people didn't really get to experience around me. And I felt like as a kid, there would be times where I'm like, oh, I hate this, or I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, like my friends.
Right.
But, as I got older, I'm like, that was a privilege what I was doing.
For a lot of the young girls who are in these limelights or are blessed to have these careers where they can take, the financial aspect of motherhood off the table, that they still don't think about, once again, mentally, emotionally, even family, like, who you having this baby with, all plays a part in how it's going to look and turn out for this child. And at the end of the day, we as people can all agree, right? There's things that we dealt with in our childhood that's carried over to adulthood. And I just feel like us as people, if we're even considering bringing a child into the world, you need to consider that. Where I am right now, is it conducive to bringing another human being that's completely and totally dependent on me? Is that possible? Is it conducive for them? Not for me, but for them right now. One of the deciding things that for my sister was that she wasn't the age that my parents were.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't a teenager. She was 22 when she was pregnant. Well, 21, 22 when she had my niece. And I think for her, that's where she found a lot of comfort. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, once again, are you emotionally mature enough? Are you, mentally mature enough? Do you have the support from this partner that you're also going to have the baby with? Because that's another thing that we don't think about too is, motherhood is a thing, but fatherhood is a thing too.
And a lot of men don't respect fatherhood, and they don't respect the.
We gotta get some men on here to talk about that. I just feel like maybe their connection of fatherhood is different, and I feel like that's one of the conversations I had to have with my sister's child's father. Is that when we as women get pregnant, we automatically have to stop a lot of our emotion, which for men, their motion doesn't stop until the baby actually comes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the difference for them, is they have this understanding that, okay, I'm going to be a dad, but they don't have that physical connection until the baby is physically here. So I feel like that's the difference.
And it sets in for them a lot later.
It does.
But what I will say too, like, you have to be cognizant of who you have a child with, because a lot of y'all be thinking like, oh, no, he really fuck with me. He really this and he really that. You have no idea until your child is in this world how much a motherfucker fuck with you. Another thing that I have been observing on social media and just like in our generation is the stream culture.
Oh, let's get into it.
And how the stream culture is like projecting this unrealistic expectation of adulthood that is so far from the truth. I don't know any adults on no hands that I can count that sit in a room all day
in front of a computer
and a camera and play a fucking game and be on fucking Twitch.
Yeah.
And make millions of dollars. I'm sorry, it's unrealistic. Get your ass out in the field, get you some tangible skills, and go to fucking work, bro.
Yeah, I do think that a streamer culture with the rise of it has definitely, in many ways, been a hindrance to our youth and to our children, because it does provide a false sense of what the realities of adulthood is.
Yeah, like, oh, well, I could just do this, you know? And it's like, no, that shit is actually hard.
Really hard.
And on top of that, like, I'm sorry, don't nobody want to see your mama raggedy ass house in the background.
Them sheets is dirty. Wash them, okay?
Like, bro,
your sheets is dirty.
About? You got fucking wood panel in the background. I know you fucking hate termites coming, nigga.
No, I do.
Stop playing.
You know you got some roaches up in there, all of that. Like, you can't control if they're crawling up the wall in the background.
Like stop playing. Like, and also like with social media as well, it's like y'all think like, oh, I could just be an influencer. That shit is hard. That shit is very hard. If you don't know how to do it, if you don't have the equipment to do it, you're going to give up. And if your passion out there and you just doing that to get a quick buck, let me tell you something too. In adulthood, it's a lot of people that's going to succumb themselves to things that are a quick buck.
Facts.
Nothing in life is quick. Nothing in life is
worth having in life is quick.
Nothing in life is worth having that is a quick buck. All them pyramid schemes you niggas been doing. Get them.
I already heard they racking up for them PPP loans, okay?
Nothing. I'm telling y'all that Forex shit, where the Forex niggas at? I'm calling y'all to the front of the classroom. Y'all, stop falling for these fucking Ponzi schemes. There is no way to get a motherfucking get rich quick scheme without the fine print that you read, and there's always strings attached. Even if you was to fuck with a nigga and he trying to bless you with some bread, it's strings attached to that shit. Nothing in life comes free and just handed to you. Stop looking at these streamers and thinking that that's a quick buck that you could do. No, like if you don't have the personality for it, a lot of y'all niggas be boring. A lot of y'all don't have no personality. Like, figure out a skill set that
skill sets
or ambitions that you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're not gonna have the ambition to really keep it going. Like,
I feel like when it comes to streamers like DDG, when it comes to streamers like Kai, or just all of these other mainstream people that are streamers that we're looking at, a lot of y'all, and even myself, I mean, I don't know their background. I don't know their history. I don't know their education level. I don't know none of that. I just knew I got on social media one day and I started seeing them. But one thing what I can say is they're clearly in a blessed position in a privileged position where they have the ability to give all that time to build that up. Like, they're in a position to where they can't sit in front of a camera all day long and talk about nothing and make millions of dollars. If you know you need to eat, your clothes is dirty, and you need to wash your ass, you don't have the luxury to do it.
You don't.
You need to get up, go find another way.
Go sell some drugs, nigga.
Don't do that. I think that... Don't do that. Because I think, literally, what the... That also goes into that mentality of get rich quick. Because that was my childhood and my experience where I watched my dad be in the streets, right? And when it came time to him actually being able to hold down a real job, that eluded him because he was used to this get rich quick, money coming quick, but it's going even quicker.
It does create that false sense of
I just feel like,
money.
And it's also not conducive to living in a society where everybody is used to working for what they have. Now, I'm not knocking anybody hustle. If that's what you got to do to get to the next stepping stone, use that. But at the end of the day, the reality is a lot of you niggas will not and cannot be Big Meech. So don't think that you are, okay? Like, don't go sell drugs.
Hey, breaking news, you heard it here first. But I will say, too, as a man, like, get you some motherfucking skills. Like, it's a lot of skills that y'all can obtain as men. You don't need a motherfucking college degree to be a fucking mechanic. You don't need a college degree to be a barber. You don't need a college...
Hey, didn't they say motherfuckers in that be washing windows in New York City, they make over $100,000?
Yeah, you don't have to have a degree to do that shit. And it's also like, if you know you want a certain lifestyle, like, personally right now, I have 3 jobs. Like what? Like, you niggas need to get on your fucking Zoom, get the fucking hustling, clock the fuck in. Like, y'all thinking this shit is just gonna come easy. No, it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes continuity. You have to continue doing the same thing over and over again.
And I think that one thing I will say before I think we should move on, a part of thinking about adulthood is thinking about your legacy. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of niggas jump the gun and they automatically think about their legacy, but they don't.
With a child.
Especially with a child, making them the responsibility to carry that legacy on, but they don't think about past that, what that looks like, and the work starts in your adulthood.
The work starts in your adulthood, and y'all fucking lazy ass motherfuckers need to really start obtaining fucking skills you can pass down to your fucking legacy. Y'all niggas always want to talk about legacy, and that shit really pissed me off because when people speak of children, they speak of legacy and they speak of passing down their lineage. But the reality is, you don't have shit to pass down.
True.
But motherfucking trauma and motherfucking anger issues.
So, I think we need to get into what we watching, okay? And a show that we like to watch together is
Real Housewives. So right now, Real Housewives of Potomac is on, and Real Housewives of New York.
Those are the 2 we watch right now. Now we watch some of the other franchises, but we don't watch the whole franchise.
Yeah, I think we specifically, no shade, we specifically like to watch the black women of Housewives. So, you know, Atlanta, Potomac. New York, I watch for the outfits, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I watched just at least this season because I know they had a complete revamp of the cast. Now, don't ask me nothing about old New
I didn't
York.
watch.
I don't know shit about old Roni, but at least this last season that they had, this current season that they had, I've been watching. Now, I want to talk first about Potomac, okay? I really like that they've redone the cast. They got rid of dead weight, Robin.
Her fucking loser ass. She was so boring.
She was boring. Wrap it up with her cheating ass husband who got about 5-6 families somewhere.
And is a weirdo.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is a nigga going to the laundromat with another female is cheating. These niggas don't even wash their own clothes. What?
Wash up that motherfucking attitude. How about that?
They don't even wash their own clothes. Like, especially...
What nigga you know with a whole family washing clothes? Bitches wash clothes, you bitch ass nigga.
No, that was crazy. No, but I'm so really what I will say is so far I'm enjoying this season of Potomac.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a different energy. It's such a different pace for it.
Yeah.
I'm really loving Kiarna.
I love her.
I
love her. I feel like a lot of brown girls can see themselves in her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like feisty, but she also has a very delicate, cute. She's very cute, and she has just such this like warming spirit to her. Like watching her, I love her. What is your thoughts on Stacey though?
I love Stacey.
Do you think she boring? Is she beating the boring allegations though, friend?
Yeah. For me personally,
I don't think she's boring.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't think she's boring. I feel like she's beating the allegation because much unlike that boring bitch Ashley, she not afraid to get into what she got going on. She not afraid to be open about where she is, not only with her career, but also with her current partner, just with her divorce. I just feel like coming on to the show, especially what was the other bitch that they had on for one season and fired her?
Nneka. Yeah,
she was boring, okay?
And she had a neck on her. Golly, that motherfucker was long.
She was boring, but she also gave fans.
Like with Nneka, she was a fan. She was also like, she talked to her husband like shit.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, I think she was a brown noser. Like, she wanted to kiss ass and be in the mix.
She did.
I don't think Stacey wants to be in the mix. I think she's more democratic. And I think she trying like appease all of the girls.
No, I don't even think it's appeasing all the girls. I think she's allowing herself to get to know them and kind of really understand where they are and how they're functioning before she takes sides.
Yeah.
And I just feel like
Nneka took sides way too early.
She did. Like, you took the wrong side, girl. Like, and I don't know. I feel like
she took the wrong side.
Oh, this season is messy. Between Karen DUI, we got Mia with her husband and
Mia is a mess. I'm sorry, Crater Face be pissing me off. Her and her little minion Jacqueline, she's weird, bro. Jacqueline is weird as fuck.
She is weird. But I seen a tweet that said Mia got her husband, boyfriend, and girlfriend all on the season.
She is, and she's one of those people, like we said last time, that's a pygmisha that needs a lot of attention.
No, she's a narcissist.
And validation. Like, she's a true narcissist. Like, why do you have 3 people that's obsessed with you in your life?
Yeah.
Get a clue.
So, I think that I want to rate this overall season of Potomac so far with 6-7 episodes in. I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10.
I was gonna say 7. I give it around the same.
Yeah, I give it 8 out of 10.
I don't know. I feel like Karen is playing typical Karen. Of like, you know, trying to keep her cards close to her, but also I think a lot of the girls is digging too deep into it and trying to drag her, which is weird, especially Mia, because girl,
you got your own shit you need to deal with.
Mia.
But I just feel like not too much on my girl Karen.
I like Karen though.
She's already expressed that because she's going through legal things, she's not speaking about it. And I feel like that's where the confrontation is for Karen, is they want her to speak about something and admit to something to where legally, if I'm going through something, I don't give a fuck if I did it or not. I'm not admitting to it until after the court case.
But I agree with Karen. I just kind of feel like the way she carry herself, the way she go about things is typical Karen. Like, the way she's moving in this whole situation is how we've known Karen to move in all of these situations. And I think people just trying to poke at her because they know how she is.
They know that they want to get another opportunity to see her when she down.
Yeah, and that's really what it is, because most of the time Karen picking at their ass.
Facts.
Because they got bullshit going on.
Yeah, and I think as far as Roni, I'm really liking this vamp. Like, once again, I didn't watch the old seasons.
I didn't either.
But
I like the new review.
I do. I like this new group of girls. I think that for it to not be a predominantly black cast,
it is very interesting.
It is very interesting. And I think one of the things that I find super unique is it's giving me a glimpse into the upper elite New York echelon lifestyle that a lot of people think and dream about, but don't really get to see like that. So
because like Potomac is a lot of rich girls too, but New York, you really gotta have that motherfucking bread in New York and a motherfucking And I just came back from New York and like, I spent so much money, but also like. Just going there, I even went to one of the places that they went to in Roni, the Flair House, or Flair Room, my bad. And like just being in there, I'm like, damn, like if I had bread, I would spend a bag in this bitch. Yeah. But yeah.
What I will say is though, they need a little bit more drama. Like, they not coming with the drama.
I don't know. They got a little bit of drama, but I can understand where you're coming from.
They just need a little more.
I feel like, for me right now, some of my favorites is... Actually, I don't think I really have a favorite.
I was finna say, who
all the bitches really get on my nerves.
See,
I don't like none of them.
I was liking Erin.
I like Erin.
I heard
sometimes.
I do. I feel like Erin's a little weird, but I did hear that she was a Trumper.
Yeah, I have heard that too. Allegedly. Which is why I can't really say I'm gung-ho on Erin. Bren is messy as fuck. Sai is a reformed bitch and crash out.
Yeah.
Jenna, she's scary as fuck.
And she a little weird too. I feel like I don't like a person. I feel like we've seen Jenna a few times say one thing and then walk it back and be like, I didn't say that. Well, I don't know. But I don't like people who do that.
But that's why I appreciate Erin, because Erin will be like, I said the shit.
Yeah.
And I respect that, because stand on it. If you said it, or if you don't remember if you said it, say, oh, I don't remember if I said that, but if I did, then that sounds like some shit I would say. But also, Jessel, she's a complainer. She's annoying.
And she can't dress. That hoe can't dress.
She can't dress to save her life. She be trying to be provocative. The one dress she had on where it was see-through, ass. Throw it away.
She can't dress.
But I do like Raquel.
Raquel, now that's a new addition to this season.
I do like her.
Raquel. And I like Raquel a lot. I feel like she
had one weird moment, but also
I think that just came from a misunderstanding. Yeah. I just feel like they was trying to look for something to be messy with her about, but I do think in that instance it was just a simple case of miscommunication and misunderstanding because she's new and she doesn't know them like that. But overall, I think at least us being I think with this show we at least 9 episodes in, right?
Yeah. I would say I'm enjoying the both seasons.
I would say I would give this one a 6 out of 10 though.
But what would you prefer Potomac over?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay, same.
For sure
I would say that too.
Potomac over Roni.
Because Roni, they like cool, but they be a little too... Oh, Uba. I love her.
Oh, that's the one I like. Sorry, Uba. Shout out to you, girl.
Shout out to Uba, because I think she be calling motherfuckers out. I love her. Bren she been pissing me off because she trying to politic and be on some white woman shit of they're gonna look at you like an angry black woman, but you're provoking her to react like one.
Yeah.
So stop doing that. And also in the sense of stop being messy. Like you act like the no. That is so fucking racist.
It was absolutely disgusting. I didn't have much respect for Bren, if any, before that. But
that really put such a bad taste in my mouth for her. Like,
what I will say though is, I think the Housewives franchise as a whole is just kind of like our guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
like, it's
so
just a little guilty pleasure because I know people are like really apprehensive to reality TV, but I think that with the Housewives, I think it's the realistic nature of how women interact.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to see them doing much fighting. They use their words to fight. And I think the reality is that's what adulthood is. Like, you go through these periods. You have people where some of them you closer to, others you not, but you got to kind of all be in this environment.
Especially with work.
Yeah, especially with work. So I just feel like there's certain elements of Real Housewives that I enjoy because it reminds me of what adulthood is, but also what it could look like for me. So,
and also I think too, like it's a very tasteful approach to reality TV. Like when people think of reality TV, they think of like this cattiness and like weird energy. But I think when it comes to the Real Housewives, like, they do it in a very tasteful way, and they show a different side to it. Like, you know, these women have a lot of money, and they also, like, you know, show that in the TV show a lot. Like, they're wearing Fendi, they wearing vitamins, they wearing all these different brands that people probably ain't never heard of. They throwing these extravagant parties. And it's interesting to see too, because that's what I would want from our friendships, to be to that level at a certain point. So yeah. Last but not least, let's go ahead and get into the question of the day. The question of the day is, what advice would you give to your younger self? So Shans, go ahead and kick it off for us.
Ooh, Black, beautiful little girl. The advice that I would give to my younger self is to let go of things a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do not be in a rush for adulthood, because once you're in it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Enjoy where you are. Enjoy making memories. Let go, let God, and just love who you are and where you are. I think that if I would have done that a lot earlier and a lot younger, I would have been a lot better off. So that's the advice I would give to my younger self.
I think the advice I would give to my younger self would be to let go of these expectations and stereotypes that you have as to how you should carry yourself, how people see you, and things like that. And don't hide who you are. And also just be comfortable in sometimes being different and being the only type of person like you in the room. Because I think for me, I felt very uncomfortable, like, just being myself a lot of times, because I felt misunderstood. But that's okay. So that I would say that is what I would say to my younger self, because I think I held so tightly to those, oh, I need to do this, oh, I need to look like this, or I need to, you know, and it really doesn't matter.
Well, we want to hear from you guys. What would you tell your younger self? And, you know, also, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Culturama,
where we bring the culture, baby,
and the drama.